to Ping and Amy's True Crime Adventures in True Crime, soon to be renamed or something, rebranded. I really messed that one up. Hey Ping, how are you?
Going good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Um, I wanted to share something with you if you don't mind, real quick.
All right.
It's real super quick. So I'm going to put it up on the screen. Let's see. Okay. So I live near a community that likes to drive golf carts around, much like what you guys hear on the news sometimes about the villages, that wild place where all the old people go to, and have dance parties all night and like give each other STDs and stuff.
Like the retirement sex homes.
Yes. So it's like they do this in my neighborhood too, but like we don't take our golf carts to like restaurants and stuff. We're rural. Like they mostly like in our neighborhood, like, you're taking your kids to a friend's house or, something like that. Or you're just like looking at wildlife, or I don't know. Anyway, this is a city about 40 minutes from me, and they have a super target. So I pull into the super target and I see this golf cart. When I tell you this golf cart is like tricked out, um, it has like a giant like GPS screen, like stereo system type thing on it, like a data thing, you know? And what you can see are two car seats on the back. And when I tell you she took babies out of this golf cart, they were like, I'm not real good at ages, maybe 10 months and 2 years old, somewhere around there.
Well, I'm glad she feels confident doing that. I mean, not judging anyone else's choices of parenting, but just if that was me, I would feel very uneasy because what if someone rammed you up the ass?
Um, yeah. Well, I'm gonna be judgy. I'm gonna be a Karen. I'm gonna be a Karen for a minute. So they're rear facing seats, right? So she can't see her kids. There's no mirrors, but I don't know if you can see my mouse or not. There's no mirrors back here. So she can't see what the F is happening with her kids. All right. And then I'm going to show you it from the side. So they have those little OS handles, but like, they're not going to be able to use them. They're just strapped into the little car seats, looking at what's behind them. Hopefully this utility thing where the strollers will prevent some, damage to our kids. I want you to like look out this way. This right behind these palm trees in the background is a road that is it's a 6-lane road. There are no cars on the side of the street with the super tart, or no cars, no housing developments on this side of the street at all. So she had to cross the 6-lane road. And then if you were to go out this way and turn right, that's I-95. There's also no housing on the other side of the road until after you get past 95. So she had to cross the I-95 ramp, the interstate ramp, and a 6-lane highway to get into the super target with her babies on the back of the
Is
thing.
it legal to drive that thing on a paved road?
I don't think they've quite caught up with it. They are not supposed to, but they go in and they go across the roads like you would like a crosswalk, and then they
Yeah.
park up on the sidewalks. They're like parked in restaurants, they're parked in grocery stores. People drive their kids to school in these. They're all over the place, weaving in and out of traffic. It's so
It's
annoying.
crazy. I thought you would have to at least have in Australia, if you have something like that, one, it wouldn't be allowed on the road because it doesn't have mirrors, lights, safety features. But two, even if it was, it would have to pay rego.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's allowed on our roads here unless you have tags.
Yeah,
So
well, you can see these are not,
weird.
they're not tagged. You also don't have to have a driver's license to drive them. So you see like 13-year-olds driving these things down the road.
I just don't get it. So the cops just don't care. They just
I,
got
I,
better things to do.
I don't know. Maybe they can't pull them over. Emily's like, maybe it's a single dad. No, it wasn't a single dad. It was a mom.
Maybe
Like,
that's her only transport. I mean, I'm not gonna get too upset with it, but I mean, maybe that's she doesn't have a car. Maybe that's all she's got.
well, yeah. And I mean, I thought about that too, but honestly,
Those things cost money.
that is this thing right here is probably about $12,000 or $13,000.
You know, Rolls Royce makes them too.
Oh, Mercedes makes them. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of luxury ones. Yeah, and then when like in my neighborhood, people drive these. I forgot what they're called, but they're made by like John Deere or like another. Those things run like 30,000, 34,000. It's unbelievable to me.
Oh, the mini tractor things.
Yeah, but they also have like seats and people put sound systems in them and like at
I love
Halloween.
John Deere stuff.
I know, me too. At Halloween, they have like parades and they decorate them, and it's really kind of fun. But like I said, in my community, like we're so rural, like there's no way we would get out of our neighborhood. But yeah, I mean, I thought about it. I was like, well, maybe there are like a single car home, and like the other person in the home takes the car somewhere during the day, and she has the golf cart or whatever. But Target delivers in this area. The pharmacies deliver, the grocery stores deliver. A lot of them don't have
That's
delivery car
true.
shows. Like what? I'm sorry. There is like I remember when Bella and Christian were this little. Not 18 months, but like 2 and up kind of thing. When they were still in car seats, not booster seats, car seats. Holy moly, would I never ever put them. What if like a rock flew up and hit your baby or something?
Oh yeah, it's dangerous. I just wonder, they say the first year of a mum's life with the babies is like the hardest. Maybe that's just her get out time of the house as well. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know. You know what I mean? I try to find
right.
like the excuse for people. Like,
I
what's the
know. Well, I
excuse?
was trying to, but I mean, when I saw those seats, I was like,
I
what?
wouldn't do it like that if I did it. I'd have them facing the other way and maybe underneath the canopy more, like with the harder back behind it. So at least if you were hit up the arse, it was more protection rather than just that pole.
Well, I don't think I took a good enough picture. There is a back seat.
That's what I mean. You could have it under there instead. Maybe take out the
Yeah.
back seat and put the kid seats there.
Oh no, they would have fit in the back seat because 2 adults could fit in that. I don't know if you can see this, like the driver sits here and the back is elevated, so the babies would be like up higher behind the driver. This is up even higher than this.
Oh, okay. It's not level.
No, I mean it. I was like, no, this is not PBJ. This is not the Villages. This is another area in Florida, like more towards the coast. And I happen to like I'm a basic B minus the pumpkin spice. They have a really good super Target there. That's why I was there. I was trying to find something at Super Target that I've been looking for, and I didn't want to, And it's on my way to like get my kids, but I saw this and I was like, this person is crazy. And I literally sat in my car and watched her like unbuckle babies and put them in the strollers and like go inside. And I was like mesmerized by it because I'll tell you, when I first met Chris and the kids were little in car seats, I drove like a sports car and I used to be scared. Now I drive like a mommy truckster.
You have a
But
van.
no, no, no offense to anybody that does. In fact, I have a funny story. We went to go see the Ramones like 3 or 4 years ago, and down in South Florida, like close to Miami, and we not the Ramones. I'm sorry, it was the kid was wearing a Ramones t-shirt. Who did we go see?
Newfound Glory?
No, wasn't Bad Religion. Rancid. We went to go see Rancid. So we go down there and there's like 6 of us. And so I am the only girl and I go to use the ladies' room and come to find out they're like co-ed bathrooms and I'm like waiting in line and these guys are like oh man, we drove like 4 hours. This is gonna be such a bad, whatever show. And I was like, yeah. I'm like, you drove from like Orlando, and they were like, oh my gosh, you have us almost beat. They're like, we came down here in a station wagon. I was like, oh no. I'm like, I really have you beat. I'm like, we came in a minivan. Like, he was like, a minivan. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, one of our friends, like his wife has a minivan. I'm like, but there were like 6 adults and we were not going to take 2 cars. So we came in a minivan. Like we went to a
That's
punk
so
rock
funny.
in a minivan. Yep. But anyway, that's my little fun thing of the day. And then the other thing I wanted to show you before we get into our title thing. Well, actually, you had asked me to pull something on Twitter, right?
Yeah, if you want to show that, because I
Yeah.
think they would like this.
Let me
If you guys know, yesterday was the Queen's funeral, and it was broadcast across the world. I think like 80 million people or something tuned in to watch it, and it was a big deal. There was some very interesting stuff that happened throughout, and this is one of it. So we'll play it, and then you guys have a listen to this.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to have to scrub it back, so give me just a second. Is that visible on the screen, or do I need to make it bigger?
I don't think you need to view it, it's more the audio.
Okay. All right, hold on. Hold on. Here we go.
Death is irreversible, and the fact that she's as you can see. Well, as you can see here in London, it is a lovely day, and as the hearse heads out into West London, Emily Morgan. Death is irreversible, and the fact that she's as you can see.
Oops. It won't stop. It's possessed.
It is possessed. So if you guys can hear that, it says, the death is irreversible, and the fact that she's trapped. And they don't know where this audio came from the live feed at all. And people were saying it sounds like Diana and blah, blah. And
It's really eerie. And I'm not into like that paranormal stuff at all. I mean, I don't judge anybody that is, but it's just not my thing. But when you sent it to me last night, right?
yeah,
Yeah. I I listened to it, and at first I didn't get it. I was like, what is he sending me? And then I had to like read about it, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like that's kind of crazy.
the fact that it says the death is irreversible, is there some deaths that are reversible? Like, is there something you don't know?
Yeah. Okay, they're saying it's very small on the plate again. Sure, no problem. Give me 1 second here.
There's not really anything in the video unless you just want to see the cars, but we can enlarge it for you.
I can make it bigger. I just tell me when it gets too big, because I can't see.
That's what she said.
Yeah, exactly. Is that huge?
That's pretty big. One back from that.
Okay. Maybe one more.
It's sort of froze on my end for some reason.
Yeah,
It's the same.
Oh, really? Oops.
I can hear a loop of myself in my other speaker.
Oh no. Hold on. All right, let me take a look and see how that looks.
That does look better.
Okay, here we go. Scrub it back and we'll play it again.
The death is irreversible, and the fact that she's as you can see. The death is irreversible, and the fact that she's as you can see.
It does sound like Princess Diana.
It's very freaky. And what's going on here right now? This is the
can
funeral procession.
It's like the day, and as the hearse heads out into West London.
And she designed her, or maybe not designed, but she had specially requested that her hearse be transparent, almost like the Pope Mobile, so that people could see her coffin. So people would,
Yeah, she designed her funeral basically, and she'd been doing it for like at least 15 years. She'd been adding things and taking stuff out and rearranging stuff. I don't know if they built that car from scratch, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was modified specifically just for this event.
yeah, it was weird, very weird. Like I said,
Very
when you first
strange.
sent it to me last night, I was like, I don't get it. And then I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, that's crazy. Sorry.
And the fact the guy on the audio, I don't know if he can hear it or not, but he just kind of keeps going, and it's like, I know that's what
Yeah,
professionals do on radio and stuff like that, but you'd think he would have been like, "Oh, sorry for the interruption" or whatever, but
right.
nothing.
Because at first it kind of sounds like maybe it's somebody recording that and they're in the background like talking in their own place. And then you realize like, no, this is a live feed.
Yeah, either that or it sounds like cross interference because there's so many people at this event, so many news stations and radio signals and things like that. I was like, well, maybe it picked up on something, like one of their transmitters or something, but I don't know.
I'm going to Google something. Hold on.
I'm going to Google if death is irreversible.
Yeah, I am.
It's a weird saying. The death is irreversible and the fact that she's trapped. What could that be in relation to?
Yeah. So I see the death is irreversible. Let's see. It's weird. There's all these articles. 5 signs of irreversible death. Again. Everything that cannot be reversed or cannot be reversed is irreversible. Death, on the other hand, is a natural conclusion that all human beings must confront at some point. Let's see what else you say. Death is the irreversible cessation of all biological functions that sustain an organism and is the legal definition of death.
So I believe a little bit in this kind of stuff. I think there's things like parallel universes and some woo-woo stuff, but more the fact that it's more like it's science that we don't understand yet, rather than it's some sort of hocus pocus. Just our scientists haven't caught up yet and haven't discovered the keys to unlocking this part of our universe. That's how I believe in it anyway.
Well, I will tell you, I tend to agree with you there. I don't go as far as like hauntings and things like that all the time, like some people do. There's a whole Reddit post on this, so I'm gonna put the link in the chat. But I'll drop it in the I was gonna say description when we're done. But I get what you're saying. I believe because I believe in like black holes and some of the things that people talk about in quantum physics and things like that. I also believe that there are parallel universes, and I've had some strange experiences in my own life. And I've had some people say that I'm empathic, and I tend to deny it because it makes me uncomfortable. But there's sometimes when some things happen, it's the only thing that you can believe, especially when it's not just you, like other people like see it. And I'll tell you guys, like, when I was like probably in my 20s, I was like home. I remember I was working at the Chamber of Commerce, so I had to be home at Christmas time from school. And so maybe I was like 19. And I was asleep in the middle of the night and had a nightmare, and I ran into my mom's room, which is something that like I'm 19. I don't usually do that, but it upset me so badly that I did. And I woke her up and she was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I was in a car accident. I was hit by a lawn truck. She was like, no, just go to bed. Like, you're fine. I swear to you, the next morning I was leaving my neighborhood. Out of nowhere, a lawn truck with a big trailer came and slammed into the side of my car. And it was before cell phones, but when somebody like got a hold of my mom to tell her like I was in a car accident, like I told you about the tidal wave, right? My mom was like,
you
stop.
told me about the tidal wave story.
Yeah, my mom's like, stop it. Stop it. Like, okay, freak show. like stop.
We will have to tell that story sometime about the tidal wave, because I think the scientific explanation of how that tidal wave occurred is just as interesting as the actual story.
Yeah. We'll tell it on Thursday. I told this story to Ping recently, and because Ping is like really into natural phenomenons and weather and things of that sort, I knew I could tell him because I knew that he could verify what I was saying, because it came up like so organically while we were talking. It wasn't like I was like, hey, call me because I have a story about a tidal wave. You know what I mean? It was like, I don't even know how it started. Like all of our conversations go. Like, I tried on some trousers, and then I went trout fishing, and then, oh my God, I split an atom in my garage. Like,
and now it's 1995.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's no natural segues in our conversation. They just
They just jump around.
They just pop around. Yeah, it's like pop rocks in your mouth. But anyway, we'll tell that on Thursday. But because that way we can pull up the actual thing and you can explain it to them.
Yeah.
But there's one more thing I wanted to show you because I found this the other day and I thought it was really kind of it's morbid, but it's I think for this crew, it's something kind of cool. So let's see.
If it's a body jerking its leg, I'm just gonna like sign off.
If it's a body doing what?
You know, like how like when people die, like their muscles still twitch.
Oh no.
There's a video out there of a cadaver, like its leg twitching. And I was like, if you play that, I'm signing off.
No, I promise it's not that. I promise it's not that. All right, let me get Death is Irreversible out of here. And get it out to StreamYard and share like a care. They have got to they've got to take out a step in this screen sharing thing. It's annoying. I mean, it's lovely that we can do it, but okay. So let's see how this is on the screen. I'm going to make it bigger. Have you ever seen this?
Not this particular one.
Let's see if we can do it.
I've seen the photo project where they took photos of all the last meals.
Yes.
For the inmates.
So this is, Texas Department of Criminal Justice. And what they've done is they have created a database of people's last words that have been executed. So, like, I don't know, just pick somebody random. Pick somebody recent. Maybe goes in alphabetical order. I have to reorganize the chart. Let me look for somebody sort of recent. Making you guys dizzy. Here we go. 2019. Robert Sparks, inmate information. Let's see. There he is on the screen.
So is he on death row or has he been executed?
He's been executed.
Okay.
On September 15th, 2007 in Dallas, Texas, the subject fatally stabbed a 30-year-old black female and two 9-year-old black males. He then called 911 and confessed to the crimes. No co-defendants. He was a machine operator, gives his, stats or whatever. And then you click back. Hopefully I can find him again. This makes me mad. Anyway, oh yeah, here he is. Robert Sparks, his last statement. And then they have it. Pamela, can you hear me? Stephanie, Hardy, Marcus, tell all the family I love them. I'm sorry for the hard times and what hurts me. I hurt y'all and for y'all too. And Patricia, she wrote me to tell Patricia. I wrote her back and tell y'all what I said. I love y'all. I'm ready. But I mean, there's some of these that are like pages long. And if you're into true crime and you know some of the people that on this site, it can be a rabbit hole. A kind of a sick one for most people, I would imagine, and it depends on how you feel about the death penalty as well, of course. But
it's very sad either way you look at it, isn't it? Some lives were destroyed with the original crime, and now another life is being destroyed to repent for that crime, and I think it's very sad because some of these people have been on death row for decades, and then they finally get to their execution date. But in that time between being in jail for the crime and then getting to the execution date, they may have changed their lives completely and their outlook on life, the way they feel about things. And while I don't believe you should ever let someone free who has killed a bunch of people or whatever, I don't know. I'm in two minds. Some people do 100% deserve the death penalty, and then there's other cases where like maybe just commuted to life is better, you know.
Yeah, I've always thought about it like this. I can't weigh in publicly on it until, well, it's just a lesson like that I was taught like growing up. Like there are some situations that you can't say what you do or how you feel until you walk into that person's shoes.
Yeah.
And so unless, I don't even want to talk about this, but like I had somebody in my family that put me in this position, whether they were the murderer or the murdered. I can't say exactly how I feel and stick to it because I think it's just one of those. It's very, very emotional and
it's a hard subject.
It is. Do you have? I see. I feel ignorant. Do you have the death penalty in Australia?
No, we don't have the death penalty here.
Yeah.
The most you can get here is like life without parole, which basically means you're there until you die.
Right. Here they do. I mean, I know you know this. I'm just saying it to say it, but sometimes it's so frustrating because people get like 450 years.
Yeah, I never understood that. It's like, what, do you think there's some sort of vampire and they're gonna like just somehow outlive their sentence? Like,
I think the purpose of it is in case like if it's multiple counts, like maybe one count gets dropped, you still have the other 350 years.
why not just say it's like natural life concurrent for all crimes? Like that's a shorter sentence than 9 million years.
I don't know. Doesn't if anybody in the chat can make sense of why they do that? I don't know. All I know is like for legal reasons, like if they were to get
some sort of appeal or something on one of the charges.
On one of the charges, then you wouldn't want them released. So you stack them, and they have to be consecutively, concurrently at the same time, right? Yeah. So it's extremely. I don't know. It drives me bonkers sometimes because I'm just looking at it like, really, like it's almost like telling somebody that makes $22,000 a year that they're on a payment plan for $9 billion, like, or their restitution is $9 billion.
It's like they could never pay it off. It's like, what the hell? I feel bad about the whole process. Like I said, some people for their crimes, it's so heinous that they deserve the death penalty. Like they really do. There's no repenting. Doesn't matter how they change their life. They really fucked up. But, like in other things, and I feel bad for the people who have to administer it. They have to live with that for the rest of their lives. No matter how they treat it. If they treat it like, oh, it's just a medical operation or what. No, they're still going to know in their heart that they took someone's life that day. No matter if it was legalized or whatever, so you're putting that that burden onto the workers, really,
Yeah, I remember it was years ago. I saw a program with a man that admitted to having pulled like the electric chair switch before.
Oh, how horrible.
Usually they're anonymous, and he felt very comfortable doing it, but he didn't feel like oh, it's so hard to explain it because there's such a like
Probably just felt like he was doing his duty for the country or whatever.
because the emotions are so diametrically opposed. It's like he did not feel bad about pulling the switch, but he was confident that he was treating the prisoner humanely and with human respect before it happened.
In some Asian countries, they do the firing squad and everyone has blanks except for one person.
Yes,
And no one knows who has the blanks or the live round.
yeah, I've heard that before. What the other thing that this was years ago that I read, and they were saying that now it wasn't a piece that was pro death penalty or against the death penalty. It was simply like an abstract that I had read, and they said that throughout history, when there have been orders for death, there are sadistic people in this world that actually have no problem with it and quite often take pleasure in it. And it's an interesting study because if they derive pleasure from it, really they're legal. I don't come at me politically. We're just talking here, but they're legal murderers. Like they are
because they took joy in the actual act.
Right. So, I mean, is it murder if it's the death penalty? It depends on, how you feel about it, of course.
That's why an automated process, we're smart enough now with the technology and the robots now where you can remove the human element, I reckon. Although you could still be like, well, who turned the computer on?
Well, yeah. I mean, everybody, somebody has a
built the robot and yeah.
Well, you're always going to have a function in that. You have the paperwork that needs to be signed. You have the preliminary, because they do like a basic medical exam. What is
medical check?
Medical check beforehand.
You need to check your medical because in case his gun doesn't work.
Well, I don't know. It's weird. It's almost. I think that part of it is probably like.
So if you survive, Amy, you can't sue them for disability.
Well, in Florida, if you survive, they just put you back.
Oh, really? They just go, round two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had several instances here where they've done lethal injection and it hasn't killed people.
Oh,
and
they've botched it.
Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, shoot. Well, the schedule's full today, so we're going to have to go back and do this again tomorrow.
Jeez, that must be so frightening to be that prisoner. That's I would consider that cruel.
So when we talk about true crime and we talk about true crime all the time, but I think we've all talked before about like horror films and stuff like that. I don't watch or I've actually never seen like some of these big slasher films and stuff like that. It's not my thing. I do like psychological films, but I still have like my boundaries. Like I've never seen
Texas Chainsaw Massacre for you.
No, I saw a couple scenes from that, and actually, I can handle the gore. It's a psychological part. Like I put myself, even though they're actors and stuff, I put myself in them and the fear they're experiencing, and I can't deal with it. And I feel, regardless of how I feel about the death penalty, I remember watching I forgot what the movie is. It's the one with Susan Sarandon where she's the nun and she works with the death row inmates. And then the other one was The Green Mile, the one with Tom Hanks
It's a
and
good movie.
yeah. And even though the movie was so good, like I literally was sick to my stomach because I was feeling the emotions of like somebody having their last minutes of life. And then I thought, well, gosh, I deal with true crime all the time, and their victims had that same experience.
It's like you're
It's
getting secondhand anxiety from watching it.
I do, and I find that when we're discussing true crime cases, sometimes like I've talked repeatedly about children. I have a really hard time with children sometimes, especially when it's their parents, and most of the time it is.
Yeah, I don't follow children cases. If people don't know, that's why you'll never really hear me speak about little kid cases because I just don't follow them because they're just sad and they're very emotional and they're not nice to talk about either. I mean, not that adult murders are nice to talk about, but when it's children, it's sort of different.
It is, and that's why I always think about Gannon Stalk and like he just come from his mom's at Christmas. She wanted to keep him. He wanted to stay. It didn't work out. She was like, just hold on just a little bit longer and mommy will get you. And then daddy's out of town and stepmom, who's supposed to be taking care of him, is standing over him, killing him, and what must have gone through his mind. And I just said it now and it makes me sick to my stomach. I can't.
He died a very violent death, I think.
Mhm.
And,
Yes.
that poor kid is just, and, now you have his alleged murderer, just making up all sorts of random bullshit for months on end. Like, come on. Like,
Yeah. Space monkeys.
I have a nut in the peanut butter. Follow me to the exit.
I know. Exactly. Children, animals, no people. And yes, you guys are right. Cartwright 72. And who got it? Crocheting Bammy. Dead Man Walking was a movie with Susan Sarandon. Those, like, I had a very, like, emotional experience, like, on both sides. Like, I felt myself, like, relating to the person on death row and relating to the person on the other side and relating to the victims. And it was, that kind of stuff gets, I don't mean to sound like a freak show, but I mean, I play with a dinosaur hand pupper. So, emotionally exhausting. Like sometimes I can't even finish the movie because I'm just done. I just, it's like there's nothing left in me. I
get you. I'm not a fan of those real bloody ones, like the real like gory type ones, but I'm a massive Scream fan. I love Scream. I love the series. The TV show, the first 2 seasons was some of the best kind of like psychological kind of thrillers ever. It was so good and it's so annoying they didn't do the 3rd season properly. But yeah, I like that type of stuff. I'm not a huge fan of the ones where they're like, although I like Saw, but it got a little bit ridiculous in like after the first one. But anything where they're like, he walked through like a plate glass thing and like 400 things stabbed him all at once and slid him into like 200 pieces. I'm like, nope, I'm good.
Was that psychological or was that like blood and guts gore for blood and guts gore?
I think it's just too much gore. It's like, why would you want to watch that? It's like, yeah, because it's so realistic these days. Like, it's not like it's before where they're like, here's some sausages and some like ketchup.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so realistic now.
Yeah. Because I actually, let's see. Like, don't make fun of me, but like the Scream movies, they were campy. Even though they were
sort of comedy-ish, yeah.
Yeah. And then I Know What You Did Last Summer, campy.
Yeah, I love that one too. It's good.
So those are fine with me. I've never seen, like, I don't think I could bring myself to see Saw or Hostel or like Centipede or Human Centipede.
Human Centipede. I haven't watched that either and I never will. That's gross.
Just the idea of it, like, even I feel like I'm having like a major ADD moment tonight, so I apologize. What is the movie? Is it Seven, the one with Brad Pitt?
What's in the box?
Yes. Okay. So there were scenes in that movie that were so realistic, and I thought about like what that victim had gone through for that to happen, or the trauma, like the guy that the lust guy, the trauma that he was experiencing.
Or the trauma at the end. Imagine that. Like the final scene. If you haven't watched it, it's 30 years old, so this is your problem, not ours.
Spoiler
Um,
alert.
the fact that his wife's head was in the box, and that was the serial
Oh,
killer's final payback. I mean, you would be screwed. Like your mental state would
yeah.
just be done.
I've never seen PB&J says I don't like blood and gore but love scary. Do you guys remember the original Salem lot? I never saw that.
I know the movie, but I've never watched it.
I'll tell you when that like so I think I've said this before. People will come in, because we live in Orlando, we always have people staying in our house, like free hotel. And we like it for the most part. But they'll look through our DVR and stuff, and there's like
It's just full of Lifetime movies.
it's full of rom-coms. It's Chris. That's Chris. Chris loves rom-coms. He does not like true crime. He'll watch like the first 48, but other than that, like he's not going to sit down and watch like Dateline with me or anything like that.
I like
And so-
rom-coms and true crime, so there you go.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I like rom-coms, like they make me uncomfortable sometimes, but whatever. But we were watching, I think it was during the tropical storm a couple years ago, we were watching things on the DVR because we had nothing else. And I actually, I'm embarrassed to tell you guys, I like the Purge movie, the first one.
Yeah, it's very good. The idea behind the movie itself
Yeah.
is very, very interesting as a like a thought experiment. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah. Oh, see, Berserker was saying, I was just talking about 7 earlier today. That is like one that we refer back to often. I mean, and I say we as like a group because, like you said, like that last final scene, it's like iconic, and that's Kevin Spacey, right?
Kevin Spacey and Brad Pitt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, The Purge. The concept of it is like, There's another movie. It's not a horror movie, but I think it's called.
The later ones are Amy. The later Purge ones are crap, but the very first one is very, very good.
The first one is the only one I've seen, and I liked it because it was psychological, and it kind of like the Panic Room with Jodie Foster.
Yeah, although is that the one where she's on the? No, that's the one where she's in the apartment and then in the room, and then there's that one where she's in the airplane too, and she can't find her kid.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, like she's like, my daughter, I had a kid, and like everyone's like, what kid? And like they're trying to gaslight her for like 2 hours.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing the previews, but it wasn't like I was like, wait, there was like a part 2 of the Panic Room because like if you lose your kid more than once, like I'm sorry.
It's like Panic Room on a plane.
Yeah, kind of like those kidnapping movies where it's like, oh no, my daughter's kidnapped again. It's like, geez, come on. Like
your daughter ain't that hot, and she keeps getting kidnapped. What's going on here? Are you selling her out?
So many comments I can make right now. Oh my gosh. All right. Salem's Lot. Let's see. Salem's Lot. Sorry. Rent the original at your nearest Blockbuster. There's only one left. I bet we can find it somewhere. I will see. I literally made a note. Not that you can see it.
Yeah, we'll go look for it after this.
It says Salem's Lot. I'm going to do that. Yeah, I like the Hitchcock movies too.
I like the one they came out with a couple of years ago, which was about his life, which was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Trying to think of what I saw recently. Like recently, I mean the last 2 years. I don't do really well watching a lot of stuff because my attention span is not that long. But it was Rear Window. That's Hitchcock, right? And then I always remember The Birds.
Did you guys get Heartbreak High from the 90s in America from Australia?
I haven't seen it.
But was it shown over there in the 90s?
No, I'll have to look. Heartbreak High.
It was kind of like Australia's version of Degrassi.
Oh, really? Oh,
which I love Degrassi.
I've never seen Degrassi.
What?
I know, but I'm a little bit older.
Just leave.
I know.
The door. It's over there.
Hi.
But they actually Netflix did a remake of Heartbreak High and released it last week.
Is it good? Did you watch it?
I watched it. Yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Did it satisfy your inner teen angst?
It more was like, wow, I'm old, and teenagers these days are weird.
Well, there you go. It's kind of like when they remade Beverly Hills 90210. Like when I was in high school, like everybody watched it. It didn't matter if you were a metalhead, if you were a
I was a
stoner.
Friends person, not 90210.
Well, but yeah, but I'm what 15 years older than you.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. So it's a little bit different. But
Has
yeah.
Chris ever shown you the Lifetime movies for that one, Melrose Place, 90210, and Saved by the Bell? They did the story of for those three. Have you seen them?
I have seen the story of Saved by the Bell. Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I actually thought they were quite interesting. The acting was terrible, the storyline, but the little tidbits of information dropped throughout it, which must have come from personal sources, was very interesting.
Yeah, I did see that. I'm trying to think of the ones that I've seen that I've watched. There's someone. It's like Mrs. Something's Magical Christmas or something, and it's like this. I don't know. I'm not giving enough information. And then there's a movie about a woman that's like real high powered, and she gets sent somewhere to do like a men's calendar, and she falls in love.
Oh, I watched that. That was on Hallmark.
Yeah.
On
Okay.
Hallmark.
Yeah.
I know that one.
So was the Mrs. Whatever, and then there was another one called. It was something about going to Tiffany's for your birthday, and it had Alyssa Milano in it.
Oh, if you guys are a Blink 182 fan, you would remember her from one of their original video clips.
Mm-hmm.
She was the girl, the hot girl in it. But you know, Amy, I was going to tell you, I'll let you guys all on in a bit of a secret.
Uh-oh.
On Hallmark, there's a show called Mystery 101, and I am just such a big fan of that. I don't really like that type of shows for true crime, but that one is really, really good. And bloody Hallmark's canned it before finishing it. I was so mad.
Don't you hate that? I started following a series on Hulu that I loved. It was about women that worked in the reporter pool in the 1950s and 60s, and it was so good. And they canceled it after one season. Like my sister and I say we have a gift for liking shows that get canceled after like one season.
Me
And
too.
then,
I'm a huge Cougar Town fan, and they canceled it after like 5 years, and I was like, why cancel it? Same
yeah,
with Melissa and Joey. I love that one too, and they got rid of that.
but 5 years, I mean, at least you got 5 years. Like you get like really invested in the show, and then you're waiting for the next season to come out, and it's like, like
Well, across two networks, they were originally on ABC, and then ABC canned it after season 2, and then it went to TNT. But I liked Last Man Standing as well with Tim Allen, which was on ABC, and then ABC canceled it, and then it went to Fox. It went to Fox after a 2-year break, and then they canceled that one too.
Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. There was another one that I really, really liked that got canceled. I can't remember what it was. PB&J says, I'm shocked when I hear, I'm sorry, not full, or into Lifetime and Hallmark. My brother was too. Yeah, like some men just, I swear, whenever we're staying in hotels, like the minute the TV comes on, I'm like, okay, so now we're going to watch like two people fall in love and fight. And like, I'll tell them the whole thing. I'm like, they don't like each other, and then they have to work together. And then and he's like, shut up.
Don't tell me the plot line.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we should talk about
We should actually get some true crime. Yeah.
Which is oh wait, hold on. Crocheting Bammy says Wayward Pines was like that. It just stopped after 2 seasons. I love it. And then Car Guy 72 says Last Dance Standing was hilarious. I don't know Wayward Pines. I'm gonna have to put that on my list too and look up what that is. So we're going to talk about Devin Clark and Lyric Woods. I've got Derek and his mom up on the screen. So this past weekend on Friday night, we know that Lyric Woods was with her parents and took a shower sometime between 10 and 11 o'clock at night. And then as of Saturday, her parents couldn't find her. Now, a witness said they saw her getting into a car around 3 o'clock in the morning. And as it turns out, Devin Clark is reported missing on Sunday. He's a little old. So Lyric is 14, Derek is 18. He's a senior in high school at one high school, and she is a freshman in high school. She's 14 at a opposing high school, and they are friends. They have like mutual friends or like a family connection, or there's something there where they're friends. And so he's reported Sunday. And so over the weekend there were all these, missing, and we're looking for these people, but interestingly enough, there wasn't a description of a vehicle or anything like that. And it leads you to wonder, like, who's up at 3 o'clock in the morning that sees somebody get into a car and doesn't know if it's a car, a truck, or an SUV or anything. And it's kind of weird. So this is Derek and his mom. Devin. I'm sorry. Devin played football, varsity football. He was a wide receiver. This is Lyric, 14, absolutely beautiful. Devin on the football field. Cannons of Devin, Lyric. Let me see if I can make us a little bit more conducive to this. There we go. Over the weekend, there was posed $10,000 reward to the capture of the ones responsible for my granddaughter's murder. Cash. I need results. Any information, contact the Orange County Sheriff's Department. Posted by Stan Dean on Monday, September 19th. And when Ping and I talked about presenting this case to you, they had not, again, this is Lyric, he had not made an arrest in the case. They have since, as of like last night, today, they have arrested a 17-year-old. We don't know the person's name. We don't know the motive. We know that Lyric and Devin were shot. But that is really the basis of this. And Ping and I were talking for a few minutes before the live started, and just making sure we were on the same page. And he said to me, like, the sheriff had this under wraps because they made an arrest quickly, and we didn't have any idea. And you can tell if I flip back to here, the grandparents knew last night, apparently. And I was going to go to the Facebook page for those. If you want to jump in here and add what I left out. We have like the statement from the sheriff. We have a couple of things that we could provide you with in talking to this case, but I think it's going to be interesting watching it develop because why was she sneaking out? What was, I don't know if the nature of their relationship is terribly important, but it's interesting. Why were they together that night? Because there seems to be a lot of
conjecture.
A lot of online theories about why they may have been together that night. And why is another juvenile shooting them? And it's here's another thing that's important. Lyric doesn't drive. She's 14. Devin doesn't have a car. So the third person, whether it's the person in custody or I'm frozen. Whether it's a person in custody or another person, there was a third person that picked them up because neither one of them were driving, and we don't know or at least we haven't heard that anybody like Devin took his parents' car or anything like that. I don't think that's even part of the equation. I'm just going to dispel that right here. It's pretty obvious. I'm not saying anybody thinks, but just in case you haven't heard of the case, because Lyric was reported missing fairly right away, like Saturday morning. He is not reported until Sunday. That is most likely because he's a little bit older, and
He's an adult.
I know he is, but I was just about to say, like, that bothers me to say he's an adult.
Well, did you see the quote from the mom? Apparently, the young lady, her family was well informed, but the family of the young man, they knew a body had been found, but they weren't even told if it was their son or could be their son or anything.
Right. I feel like if your kid is in high school, so let's do this. So he's 18, but if he's still subject to like truancy laws and things like that, then and he's still living in your house and he's still going to a public high school and he's the correct age to be at that grade level, which he is, then it shouldn't be treated like an adult. It just shouldn't. And what's the thing that I find interesting is that the 17-year-old, at least at this point, they're not releasing their name. The sheriff has been very specific, saying that that person has not been arrested as an adult.
But they were saying here, I have a quote. Let me try find it about that. A juvenile petition for 2 counts of first-degree murder was filed Tuesday afternoon with the Division of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. But they were also saying that since December 2019, 16 and 17-year-olds who commit crimes in North Carolina are not automatically charged as adults. However, with probable cause, a judge has the ability to transfer the case to the adult justice system.
Right. So if that happens, we'll have some documents soon. But as long as this person is a juvenile, they're not going to be readily available right away.
I suspect since they are allegedly a twin double murderer, that'll get transferred to adult.
I hope so. I have I have a couple things. I have a statement from Sheriff Charles Blackwood. I want to thank the families of Devin Clark and Lyric Woods for trusting us in the investigative process during this excruciatingly painful time. I hope the apprehension of the subject will bring them some comfort as they mourn their loved ones. This is a statement that was put out on Facebook by Jeremy Woods, who you'll see from the statement his relationship. For those of you that don't know, I am Brady Woods' brother, Lyric's uncle. It really makes me angry to have to say this during this horrible time for both families. It has been brought to my attention that several people are blaming Elizabeth, Lyric's mom, and also family for what had happened. And we'll talk about this in a second. I have known Elizabeth and her family before Lyric was even born. I have loved and respected them for many years. We always had holidays and birthdays together as one big family. With all that said, every accusation is complete bullshit. Sorry, I'm not the nice guy about it, but I know the truth. Keep all your false comments and ill feelings to yourself. Elizabeth was an awesome mom, and both families made sure Lyric wanted for nothing. Please have respect for both families during this horrific time. Please share so all the stupid people that don't know what the hell they're talking about will see this. Thank you. It's important to point out that Lyric was staying with her mom when this happened. And so when it went out on social media, and I'm sure you guys have seen this before, and yet again, another reason why I do look at Facebook groups, but I don't like them all the time. People started blaming the mom for her child sneaking out of the house.
I don't think we should do that.
No.
You know, what one of us here hasn't snuck out of our parent or guardian's house to go to a party, hang out with friends, have a smoke, whatever. Don't blame the mom.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's there's just no point. You can't go back. And there was a lot of I saw the statement, and then I went and looked to read some of the comments, and not anybody here, not anybody that I know, but people say some really nasty things. And it's just not productive at all. This is from Jennifer Johnson Woods, who is the wife of Brady Woods, the uncle. It is with shattered hearts that this nightmare ended with us losing our child. Lyric was found tonight, and our worst fears came true. Please hold your babies as tightly as you can. Thank you for your love, prayers, and support this time. Lyric was a beautiful soul, and you just don't understand.
Amy, have you noticed something though? All the attention and all the focus is coming from the Lyric side. I find that a little weird. Even down here, they were saying that at the soccer game, they had a memorial, but it was at Lyric school. It's
Well, they did things at Devon's school too.
the reporting's a bit slack on
The
Devon's side.
It is when you go into a general Google search, you're going to see the stuff for Lyric come up first, and that's always going to be a problem. It's the blonde
Pretty white girl syndrome.
Pretty white girl syndrome, yeah. But Devon's school did do some activities. Apparently his number on his uniform was 4, and they called him like 2 deuce or something like that. So they were yelling like 4 and stuff like that. And they had some things. His mom made some not posts, but like she did a Facebook Live. There's several things that family has done too. I think that family feels support from the community, and I think they do appreciate the sheriff's office making an arrest so quickly. But I do think that they, like you had mentioned before, feel a little dismissed because they weren't as privy to information in a timely manner because their son was 18. And I can't help but think, because of some of the things I saw online, that maybe I'm not going to put words in their mouth, but so scrap that. What I'm going to tell you is these are on like when you go to like WORL or WFLA
In the comment system, yeah.
Bay Area with whatever his name is, JB Buno. Hashtag Hey JB. In the comment section, there was a lot of stuff like, I don't feel sorry for her. She was out in the middle of the night with a black guy. So I think there's some underlying, not necessarily motive, but static kind of stuff going on that is making this complicated. And
there's some muddying of the waters by people.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is sad. She was 14 years old. I mean, she, probably doesn't even fully understand a lot of that. It's probably just her mate, just be nice.
Oh, yeah, totally. I got part of, let's see, the reporting officer narrative. This is, the case number was 22-06045, and it was filed Saturday, 9/17 at 12:39 p.m. And it says, on the date and time above, at the location listed above, I received a report of a missing person. While speaking with the reporting party identified as Shane Kaneda, he advised me he last saw his stepdaughter identified as Lyric Woods at approximately 11 p.m. on 9/16/2022 at the location listed above before she got into the shower. Excuse me. Shane advised that he then noticed his daughter was missing at approximately 10 a.m. on 9/17/22 when he went to wake her up. Shane went on to add that Lyric is a 14-year-old white female with brown blonde hair and brown eyes. She also has a nose piercing, earrings, and has braces. Both Shane and Elizabeth advised that Lyric has not run away before, which is important, and has never spoken about suicide, even jokingly. Sergeant C. Riley was contacted in K9 as well as a drone or requested due to the woods surrounding the home. When the K9 and drone operator were en route, I searched the room of Lyric with the parents' permission to locate any possible suicide note or reason that Lyric may have run away. While searching the room, Elizabeth advised that it appeared although all items were accounted for except an iPad belonging to Lyric, this is worded weird. All items except an iPad belonging to Lyric were accounted for either at the house or at her father's house in Gibsonville, which was confirmed by contact with Lyric's father, identified as Brady Woods. And then it cuts off, and I'm working on getting the rest because I did it kind of last minute, I'm not gonna lie. But I thought he had some other photos here. So Lyric, we stopped here. This is an update from looks like Facebook.
She was an older looking 14-year-old too. Like if I looked at her, I wouldn't be thinking 14. I'd probably be thinking like 16, 17.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm telling you, my stepdaughter could pass for 20 right now.
I know it's crazy. The girls these days and the guys,
and she
look
doesn't
much older when I was a kid.
Yeah, and Isabella doesn't even like wear makeup or do her hair really or anything.
I know you've told me some of the stories. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's yucky sometimes. So their bodies were. I need to make my cursor bigger. Their bodies were discovered off of this gravel road, like where you see the cars pointing. There's a line of power lines down here. So it's not necessarily like, I think a lot of people have these in their neighborhood. We have them in ours. It's more of like a green space, but it looks like somebody pulled down this road and that's where the bodies were found shot. We don't know if they were dumped there or if they were killed there.
It looks like a place you'd go to smoke weed.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But a lot of times those are places where people like will ride bikes. You know, like you'll see, at least in our neighborhood, you'll see people. You will
like dirt bikes, yeah.
Yeah, or even like, well, this one's gravel. Like ours has a paved road through it, but you'll see people like letting their dogs run off the leash, or riding bikes, things like that. It's interesting because I was looking through. This is in Orange County, North Carolina. So I have to, well, it's confusing because there were hey, Peekaboo Cockatiel. There were two different jurisdictions where this was reported. Like Devin was reported in one and meaning Lyric was reported in another. But the person the office that we hear speaking out loud is Orange County Sheriff's Office. And that's in North Carolina, not Florida, not California, not New Jersey.
Not the other orange counties.
Right. So, further referred to as OCSO. So, I went and I looked through who had been arrested last night and today, and I didn't think it had much luck because it was juvenile. And then I went to criminal court dockets and research like how long they would have to have for first appearance and things like that. I did find one listing that is supposed to happen on Wednesday of next week, which might make sense because it's a capital crime.
Yeah, they're going to need a bit of time to get facts together for a brief. So
right, and and it was 2 counts of brandishing a deadly weapon with intent to kill, and inside an occupancy or inside a motor vehicle. It matched.
Holding charges.
Yeah, it matched. So we'll see. I'm going to keep my eye on that and see if I can't figure that out. But it's all going to depend whether it's juvenile or not. So we have that. And then I have one more thing I can read to you. And then we can just simply chat. Oh, gosh. Hold on. I lost my place. This is another statement from the dad. It says, please keep sharing this. Please help look for a 14-year-old Lyric Woods, a 9th grader at Cedar Ridge High School. Lyric left home last night, and her parents have not been able to contact her today. She is 5'6", 105, and wears bracelets. She is likely wearing the necklaces seen in these photos. It's interesting that it's like it kind of like gave me Kylie vibes. The necklaces. I don't know why. Law enforcement is chasing every possible lead. We have searched all day. She left her mother's house in Efland. That's the first time, like, at least for me, that I really heard exactly where the city was, because I believe that let's see, Orange County. I think I heard it. This was like Hillsborough or something, like near Hillsborough, in Efland, around 1:30 a.m. on 9/17/22, which is interesting because this post says 1:30 a.m., but the official report says 11 p.m. by her stepfather on 9/17/22. We know from the investigation that a male, we think an adult male, picked her up. He is also missing. She left with nothing. She didn't take clothes, money, or any tracking device. Thousands of you have contacted us, shared posts, and we know many are praying. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and please keep praying that we find her safe and bring her home.
You know, Amy, the fact that she didn't take like her purse or, you know, a jacket, something like that, it says to me like she wasn't expecting to be gone for very long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It wasn't like she's going to go across town to a party or something, or a friend's house, because she didn't have anything with her.
Right. It's very strange.
So maybe they're just going to hang out and chill and just, you know,
Well, there's
talk.
a lot of online speculations. I read one of them, and it got shut down quite quickly. But, well, I'll tell you what it is, because I could go on and on. Like, it got shut down and blah, blah, blah. So here's the dealio. Somebody posted in one of the groups that somebody was hurting Lyric. Sorry, it was like Liberty. Horrible moment. That's all it said. Somebody was hurting Lyric, and that Devin was a good friend and he was trying to help her.
Maybe she had a boyfriend. Maybe this 17-year-old's her actual boyfriend, not what people are saying that it's Devin.
It's interesting you say that too, because there are a lot of posts that say that she has a boyfriend, but nobody's naming the boyfriend.
Very interesting.
So yeah, there's that. Let me see. This is the road that runs by their house, I believe.
It's a bit rural.
Yep. This is a cross marking where they found Lyric and some flowers. It's her grandfather out there. Her grandfather actually made a statement saying he had some lights and the flowers and the cross because he didn't want her to be alone at night in the dark.
It's very cute.
Yeah. Grandfather seems deeply connected to his granddaughter. To be honest, he's the most, like, I'm not judging anybody else in any of the other families, because I believe Devin's mom goes by the name of Concepcion.
Yes, I saw that too.
She has said some really beautiful things too. I am hesitant to play any of them though, because they're on news stations and whatever, and I couldn't find her Facebook page because I know it was a Facebook Live.
There is video of her at the crime scene, crying on the floor, like bent down. Yeah, which I don't know why they filmed that. You know, let her have her moment. You know, type thing.
Yeah, but I mean, actually, you can see. Can you see the power lines going down like right there? Like,
yeah, it's very you know, it's not somewhere you would really go on purpose, really.
No, and so it makes you wonder, like, why were they driven there? Were they dumped there? Were they killed there? I don't know. I was literally running around up until I got home at 9:15, something like that.
Mm.
So I like ran upstairs to do this. So I was trying to listen in my car to things and stuff like that. And Gray Hughes had done a show on this the other night, and man, when you go back and listen to it, it's like he's prophetic because he called so many things the right
Yeah, he's
way.
a very clever guy.
He is, and it kind of reminds me of like Ping and I sometimes when we talk, like maybe we're like baby Hughes in training if we did it all the time, because he figured out like pretty much where this was by watching the helicopter flight patterns. And I can tell you guys honestly, Ping and I have been on the phone before, maybe not about a specific case. Well, I think we did, I know we've done it a couple times. It was
The
one
laundry case.
The laundry case. Yeah. Yeah. And then one night I had helicopters over my house, and then we had the plane crash in my neighborhood, and yeah, so like so that's interesting. But just to break up the sadness and this, I'm going to tell you, I'm listening in my car, and I love, just so you guys know, I love Gray Hughes. I really do. I'm not trying to like fangirl or anything like that. I just really like him. I think he uses logic. He's no BS. I think he's fair. I know some people think he's mean. You know, Gray Hughes is so mean, like that
I
thing.
think he just doesn't have time for rubbish. He just wants to do his show, explain his point of view and what he's figured out, and that anyone who gets in the way of that, he just doesn't have time for it.
Like no drama, no silliness, no like poor me stuff. Like he just doesn't, and I get it. I mean, I am cut from the same cloth in a way, but I had to laugh in my car because he was like, "What is it with those people that like hop on everybody's panels? Like you're on a live stream and they're like, drop a link, and they're on this panel, and then they're on this show, and they're on this show." He's like, "We got to come up with a name for them." So they were coming up with like panel hose and
Panel hose.
panel hose, and he was like, "Yeah, it sounds like pantyhose. I like it." And people were like panel jumpers or whatever. So, Great Hughes, if you ever listen, I've got a good one for you, and I think they should be called panel handlers, like
That's
panhandlers.
funny.
Because it came to me in the car, and I was like, "That's what they are. They're like panhandlers."
Poor Lillian Gale. I think she cops a lot of the brunt of that joke from Gray because she's on heaps of shows. Like she goes to everyone's panels and she just likes talking about true crime. But I've heard Gray like kind of be like, "Oh, you're everywhere, Lillian. You're everywhere."
I think though sometimes when he does that, it is like in an endearing way.
Yeah, it's like ribbing. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
doing it to like
exactly.
because he knows the person. Yeah.
Yeah. But he was talking specifically about, well, he was talking in code about somebody. And I won't get into that because he didn't get into that, and I don't like to do that.
Code breakers coming
Yeah,
soon.
exactly. And I ran my mouth a little bit too much last night anyway. So, although I don't regret it. So we'll just keep that quiet. But anyway, go tell Gray, panel
Do you need
handler.
a doctor, Amy?
No, because I play one on TV. And 9 out of 10 doctors highly recommend that I don't become one. So there
I
you go.
highly recommend filing frivolous lawsuits. No.
Oh my goodness. So we'll watch this case, and then the other thing I'm going to leave you with, if you want to, we're in the wrapping up stages, is did you hear about the Uber hack?
Like a data breach?
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't hear about that one.
Oh my gosh. Let me hold on. I'm going to figure out how to do this. And if you haven't heard about it, I'm going to play you this video because you will understand the jargon that this guy is talking about. And I do not. So I really hope I didn't delete it. I might have deleted it. Oh, that's okay. It's going to be in my recently deleted folder. Oh, goodness. Recently deleted. Where are you? There he is. All right.
It really doesn't surprise me if you watch the documentary about how Uber was conceived and then built up and then sort of their story. Does not surprise me. They're very, very shady.
Well, he talks about something very specific that he talks about it being very dangerous. And if you don't mind weighing in on it, I'm interested to hear what you think about what he's saying.
Sure.
Just give me a second here because I don't know why it didn't. Yeah, the other thing I was going to tell you, this is kind of weird. So, the other night I was watching Netflix and something interesting came up on the screen. I was watching it on my phone, which I know is like weird because I have smart TVs and all that stuff, right? But I watch on my phone because for some reason with my ADD, I can concentrate more on my phone than I can watching a TV. I weigh in on that if anybody has any insight to why that is. But I used to be able to take screenshots of Netflix of like things, and you can't anymore.
They got an overlay, like a no copy overlay.
Yep. And so it's completely black when you go do it. It was the weirdest thing. All right, so I've got to go to my. Let me close this out because I've got a lot of tabs open. I've got to go to my Gmail, and then on Thursday, the other thing is I pulled an article from the New York Times that talked about the trending diagnosing, not overdiagnosing, the trending diagnosing of anxiety and people from 14 to 65 or something like that. It was really interesting because it's linked to true crime.
It's interesting, probably because they read so much true crime, it gets them worked up.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So I'll do this. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to drag this. Something that's not going to work. Oh, I know. I'm just going to play it from here. Okay. Give me 1 second.
PB&J, nothing really right now. If something happens, I'll definitely fill everyone in.
Oh, yeah. Peekaboo Cockatiel, she says, just use 2 devices. You know, I have done that before. The problem is that when I go to read it, sometimes like the resolution is not great, but it's not like I'm using it to like prepare a.
Because your camera, when it takes a photo of a digital screen, it picks up the frame rate, and that's why it looks all wavy.
Yeah.
So you'll never get like a perfect screenshot from camera to screen.
Good grief. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Because now I'm in it.
All right, in it.
All right, so give me a second here. I'm gonna figure out what this. Okay. All right. Let's just talk real quick while I get this up on the screen.
Okay. Well, anytime you have a data breach with a big company like this, it's really bad. Depending on what sections it is and stuff like that. Wow. That's Bring It On.
It's Bring It On in Spanish.
El mucho.
Yeah. Stop it. This thing has a mic. Oh, you've got it.
Oh my god. People, we are sorry that I'm wearing headphones, and if that hurt my ears, it probably hurt yours.
I'm so sorry. All right.
Kathy's not on the
I'm
plane
gonna
with us
try
because she
the
had a
last ditch effort because I'm really dying to know.
StreamYard, pick up your act.
Just wait. So if you aren't aware, you didn't see the previous video.
Okay.
Ride sharing app Uber.
Here we go. this. I'm going to copy the link and I'm going to email it to myself. That should do it. All right. This is so stupid. I'm sorry. We're finally going to get to it, and people are going to be like, boring, you're the best. Amy's a loser. She kept us up here thinking this was going to be something that we wanted to see, and it's not. All right. Here, I'm going to share the screen again. Good grief. Should do it. Computer's all frozen.
Right.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Finally.
Ride-sharing app Uber was blindsided yesterday by an absolutely catastrophic hack, allegedly by a teenager. I'm responsible for cybersecurity at a software company, and this sort of story gives me nightmares. Let me break down why this is so awful for Uber. It started out pretty standard. The attacker tricked an employee with social engineering, got access to his credentials, and 2FA. This let...
What's 2FA?
Two-factor authentication. Also, there's an echo. Do you hear that in the audio?
I don't hear it, but I'm going to mute myself.
Yeah.
Go back and mute myself. I won't talk again until it's over.
With social engineering, got access to his credentials and 2FA. This let the attacker log into Uber's VPN and access a bunch of stuff. Then the attacker looks around at what he has access to. He scans everything. He finds a file, a PowerShell script that contains a plaintext, meaning not encrypted, password, an admin password to the PAM. Now, PAM stands for Privileged Access Manager, and it's where a company stores and protects their most sensitive passwords. Think God access to Google, Slack, AWS, everything. Here in a screenshot the attacker shared, you can see he has access to the security break glass accounts. These are admin accounts set aside for security emergencies, except it is a security emergency and the break glass accounts are already compromised. This is going to be so painful for the Uber security team to clean up. I really empathize with them right now. What a nightmare. Ride-sharing app Uber.
So that is really, really bad. As someone who has a security background, that's like worst case scenario because you have two hacks basically side by side. The first one was what we call social engineering. Social engineering is where you use your, human skills to hack someone. So it could be something as simple as walking into a coffee shop and distracting a barrister with some, compliments while your friend nicks the keys to the till. It could be something like what happened here, where they pretended to be a security, like a security officer with Uber from IT, and that they tricked them into revealing a password. That's the first hack. The second hack is when they got in through the VPN to the internal, what we call intranet, or like just the internal systems. Then they accessed PAM. PAM is, and they did that through a plain text file, which is disgusting. That breaks all, basically every rule in security is never to have passwords just lying around in plain text. Like, that's just wrong. You don't do that.
Mhm.
Now he has access to PAM. PAM is like management. It's what we call like it's like chain of trust. It's where
Mhm.
you what we call privilege of like least responsibility type stuff. So you only get access to what is needed to complete your work. You don't give like the
Right.
guy that works in the store
Right.
access to everything. He just gets enough to, do his job. And then, you have different levels and they go up.
You can
But if
clock
you're
in
a
and clock,
hacker,
yeah. So you can like clock in and clock out, but you can't like amend your time.
right, or you couldn't like access any kind of security settings,
Mhm.
or your
Paywall.
browser only does certain stuff.
Yeah.
But as you go up in levels in the PAM, you get certain more responsibilities and different backend stuff, whatever. The fact that the hacker has complete control of the PAM is just insane. It's basically like an ultimate hack. They're screwed. To fix
So
this, they would have to wipe their system, I think.
well, that's what I was trying to understand. So I was because the way this guy has done like 3 videos on this now, and I've kind of been following it, and basically he's like they're going to have to rebuild from the ground up, and this is so irresponsible and whatever. So do you think this is a case where like Uber started like this small little app, and then when they grew bigger, they just built upon a poor foundation and nobody checked their cybersecurity and their structure?
I don't know. It could be. It could just be someone was really slack and not following proper protocols. So in security, we have there's all different protocols. The PAM is one set. There's one called CIA, which
Mm-hmm.
is like confidentiality, availability, and stuff. There's all different little things like that. But there's also like operation procedure that you should follow for certain standards and things like that. Like you guys would know it as like ISO.
Mm-hmm.
So ISO relates to different different work. So like if you worked in I don't know, manufacturing, you would have like ISO 9001 or something for
Right.
that particular industry. Security has something very similar to best practices for certain situations and things like that.
Well,
Um, so this guy is correct. The only way to fix this and know 100% that it's secure would be to wipe it and start again, because this guy's got such high access, you don't know what he's done. He could be putting all sorts of backdoors in, changing stuff, opening up like little loopholes. You got, I don't know what you could do except for delete it, rebuild, secure it, and then reissue accounts or something. That's the only way I can think of doing it as well. Unless they have a rollback, they could roll back to a stable backup like a day ago or something. That's a possibility too.
I guess I mean my only experience with like I don't so one I don't have any cybersecurity experience. I don't. What I do have experience with is setting up companies and those kind of things. And I worked primarily, and I mean, although I did like PR work in the past, I also did some, like when that ended, I did some consulting and things like that in medical and legal. And because of HIPAA and because of, client confidentiality in both of those, um, the insurance for the actual business required us to have a cybersecurity audit. And it
Mhm.
wasn't just a one time thing because technology changes all the time. So we always had to have a third party come in and verify. And it's not like an OSHA or being ISO certified or
That's
anything like
completely
that.
different. It's called cybersecurity hygiene, and it's a
Exactly.
way of keeping your systems clean.
Exactly. So I guess when I was reading this, I was trying to understand how Uber was functioning so long if that those text files were in there, and that's the crux of like that's a major issue in the problem. I mean, crux of the problem is that they were infiltrated in the first place. But then for this guy to be able to go in there and read plain text files.
Yeah, so it should have stopped as soon as he got into the staff account. He shouldn't have been able to get any further because of the PAM management system. It should have basically locked him into that one person's staff account with very sort of minimal access. The fact that that password's there basically opened up. It was like the keys to the kingdom, basically.
Yeah. He's just running around with a skeleton key right now.
So I don't know if you guys know, but when a breach like this happens, there's a huge response in the background that has to happen. Like there's a whole like cascading effect system, because when you breach, it's not just the company that you have to notify. You might have local state legislation that requires you to report breaches. There might be federal things that you must report and get lawyers like involved that you have to get done. There's local, there's employment. It's just such a big deal if you had something like this happen.
It
One
can
of the biggest things I
serve-
learned about was the legal side.
Yeah, you have to. If you do anything with financial transactions or storing credit cards, which by the way Uber does, Uber stores facial recognition, fingerprint stuff for their drivers.
Yeah, this could go down as one of the biggest breaches in history.
Credit card,
bigger than Target.
yeah, where people live, where they get picked up, where they go to. I mean, it's insane when you really think about what this kid has access to. He's got 2 more videos, and I got to watch them later.
That kid's probably going to jail too, by the way.
Yeah.
That the FBI and the CIA and Homeland Security is right now looking for that kid. If he's in the USA, he's so screwed. He's going to go to jail for forever.
Well, the fact that he knows that he's 17 years old must mean that they have him, I would think. I mean, they can't be like, oh,
have him or just know where he is.
Or know where he is, yeah. So I need to watch the next 2 videos, but I'll post this TikTok, and you know, I know some people don't watch TikTok. I get it. I understand. I respect it. My husband's one of those people. It does include Uber Eats.
Yeah, it's the same company.
Mm-hmm. Yes, tons of liability issues, tons. So I'll post a link to this. So if you want to follow this guy, his name is, like I said, I'll include the link. But his name is. Oh God. What's his name? Kyle.Tobener, Tobener. I'll put it in here right now so you guys can, if you want to go look for his account, because he's kind of talking about it. And he, I like him because he's kind of got the wild hair, like Nutty Professor. So there's a dot in between. You'll see like that's like his account profile, so you can just search for it. But he's really into this, and he's really like, I don't want to say excited about it because that minimalizes it. Like he has a general like concern, like how are we letting these things happen? Like.
You think a company with billions of revenue would be investing in their cybersecurity and cyber hygiene practices, or at least having a outside audits are really important, because your team on the inside may do something like this and install something in plain text, and then an audit will happen and they find problems that you can fix and save yourself from a situation like this.
Yeah, I mean, this is just, it's really, I guess it's shocking that there was no system in place for accountability to protect people's privacy while using an app. And hence why people are so, my husband's older than me, not by a lot, but, by enough, and we're same generation, but by enough. And sometimes when we travel, like I'm trying to use Uber or something, and he's like, oh, no, I don't like that because I don't want people. And I'm like, chill the F out.
Let me whistle for a cab.
Yeah, exactly. A dog whistle. Oh, like, and the Iditarod pulls up and we're like, yeah. Yeah. But he gets very nervous about not nervous, but he just gets like anxious and like not responsive to certain things. And where I, on the other hand, like like I'll order groceries or
You're like,
I'll
oh, they'll deliver to me for $5.95 and they only need my social security? Sure.
right, yeah. Well, no, but there's a grocery store near us, and like when I had COVID, um, I don't mean to sound like a martyr, but like I would do anything for anybody. I do it for my friends all the time, and I swear to God, like all I wanted was a Diet Coke, and it was like, can you wait till tomorrow? And I was like, no, ma'am, effers, I can't do it now.
I want it now. Yeah.
I can't eat. I can't sleep. What's keeping me alive? The artificial sugars.
Saved us too when we had COVID, being
Yeah.
able to order, and our ones were really good. They have a whole system in place for people. You tick the box that says I have COVID, and
Mhm.
when they come to your house, they lay it out all in front of your door
That's
with
what
gloves and masks, and then they just walk away.
That's what they did with me too. And but anyway, I found a grocery store that didn't charge any delivery fee at all. So and it only took like, I mean, I waited like 2 hours, but I live rural, so I didn't care, and I got everything the way I wanted it. It didn't cost. I mean, I think it cost me maybe $1 or two more than the grocery store, but there was no minimum delivery.
That's good.
All that good stuff. So yeah, I mean, like, but sometimes he's like weird about that, but then things like this happen, and I know I'm thinking, well, he's right to be concerned, because sometimes we put too much faith and confidence and trust in these applications we're using, and this is a perfect example because, yeah, I don't know what they collect data wise specifically, but if we're exchanging pictures of each other so we know who each other are, and I mean, I know I've used, I don't know if it's Uber or Lyft that does it, but one of them, I remember I was downtown one night and I snapped a picture for the driver, like, we're standing in front of this sign, like, this is what we look like tonight, like, you know what I mean, like that, so we could find each other. And then we've done that before, like leaving sporting events, because we don't like to drive to them. The same kind of thing. So like, are you, like, what information are you giving away other than your credit card information and lots? Yeah.
I will give you guys some free advice. Instacart is a massive rip-off. Just if you don't have to use it, like out of desperation, don't use it.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a guy break down how a shopping cart full of things. So with Instacart, a lot of the times, if your local store has a special, Instacart won't do the special. They'll just have the full price. So you'll pay the full price plus the premium on Instacart as well, which could be like $1 or $2 per item. So you're actually going to end up like $40 more for your shopping bag, compared to if you used either the store's, service or, I don't know, some other way of getting it.
I think it depends on what store, because I know, like, we only have one grocery store near us.
Is it Publix?
It's Publix, and they do not have any other service other than Instacart. However, Publix is notorious for BOGOs and things like that.
Yes, I've heard that.
The Instacart does allow the buy one get ones. They allow coupons. I will say, yes, I have paid a convenience fee, but I am 25 to 28 minutes from the grocery store, and just like gas and like, like when you have kids you can't leave, and all of that stuff, or being sick or being foul weather or whatever, if it costs me $2 or $3, because that's what it ends up being for me, between $3 and $5 more than if I went myself, I don't care. Now I do tip on top of that, because I believe in tipping, and that's how those people make their money.
And what do you think about tip baiting for these services?
Tip baiting?
Yeah, so there's a thing where, so if you've ever had Uber Eats or one of those kind of services, or even shopping, people will offer some extra tip money to get their order picked up first and delivered first. So what people have been doing is they'll say it's $100 tip, and then when it comes, they knock it down to like $10
Yeah,
just to
that's
get their food first. Because apparently the ones that don't have tips on it just sit there for hours at the counter.
crappy. I don't know how it works on the back end, but I think because you rate your Instacart delivery people, like, oh, I got everything in my order and everything was cold and they left it on my doorstep and they made sure they texted me and all that stuff, right? I think it might be the same way for the customers, because I'll tell you what I started doing. Because I do this with like pizza delivery people now, and we don't keep a lot of cash in the house or anything. It's not enough where like somebody's going to rob me. But if I know that, like, I have like a little bit of money set aside for stuff like this in case I can't leave or what have you. But I tend to give a very low tip on the actual Instacart thing, because I know that they take part of it, even though they say they don't. Like the government does, it's taxes. And then I'll leave like 15 or $20 on my doorstep in cash.
That's good.
So that's kind of what we do. We try to do it with the pizza people too, because I can't stand it. Like, like 16-year-old kids, like paying for gas, putting wear and tear in their car, and then they get a freaking $3 tip, and the government takes 30% of it, and they're already making like $3 an hour. So
I just don't understand how that is sustainable. Like, how people feel okay about going to eat. Like, you go out to eat food, right? And the person who's serving to you in that is earning like $2 an hour. Like,
yeah,
I couldn't do that. I couldn't take the food off them. I'd be like, I feel so terrible, because your boss should be looking after you. I don't care what the state laws say. They should be paying you a living wage. It shouldn't be up to the customers to pay your wage. It should be built into the cost of the food, and you get your $20 an hour or whatever. That's what happens in Australia. That's what happens in Europe and everywhere else.
yeah,
You shouldn't force people to be like, I'll suck your dick just to get a good tip. Like, come on, like,
yeah.
you shouldn't force young people to act like that.
No, I agree. And it's funny because my husband has, like, when he was younger, he waited tables. I waited tables and bartended. My sister waited tables. In Florida, it does not pay anything. I think it's like whatever, like $2 or something an hour or whatever. My sister and I, when we used to have to go to my grandparents for the summer in Connecticut, they pay like $14 an hour. 12, I think in the 90s they were paying like $12 an hour or something to wait tables plus tips. And because we were not Connecticut residents, we didn't have to pay state income tax. So
okay, well, that's 14's better. I mean, it's not $2, but
well, it wasn't bad money when you were like 16 or 17.
Yeah.
At a pizza place, and you could make $60 or $70 an hour.
Yeah, I think like that's I think the kids here, when you're only young, you only earn like, I don't know, $18 an hour or something.
Did you see that comment about Instacart addresses the tip baiting by giving customers 2 hours to decrease and 24 hours to increase? If tip is decreased, now it requires a good reason. That's good. I'm glad
That's good.
taking care of that, because that's terrible. And what did Petunia say? She says, I walk to my grocery store in all kinds of weather, but if I ever really something, I wouldn't hesitate to order. I'm a regular there, and the folks who would be doing my shopping. Yeah, I understand that. I used to, before I got married, or not before I got married, before I lived in sin, I lived in a community where I could walk a lot of places. Like, we had bars, a drugstore, restaurants, and a grocery store, and a post office. And so I literally, like, I would get home and park my car and not have to use it. I didn't have to do errands on the way home because everything was in my little village, basically.
Sort of like where I live here.
Yeah.
Everything's really close.
The shops were just all there, and that's so nice.
I can walk to a mall, like a giant mall is like a street away.
I'm totally jealous. And it's a healthy lifestyle too.
Yeah, although we're moving, so I hope I find somewhere around here, because I want to stay in this area. It's a good area.
You'll find somewhere good. I promise. I know it. I manifest it. So, but we're running on 2 hours right now, so we should probably.
Time flies, but we'll be back Thursday for more random,
Yes.
hopefully true crime.
And tidal waves.
Yes, tidal. We'll talk about the tidal wave and we'll explain the science behind it.
Yeah. So thank you all for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. We are looking to get to 500 so we can have that community page. That way we can better communicate with you. I'm trying desperately to promote. So, tell your friends, tell your family, tell people that don't want to hear. Write graffiti on walls. We don't care. Everything goes. Anarchy. I totally endorse that. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon.
Good night, everyone. See you Thursday.
Oh, Heidi Plank, I do. If you want to talk about that soon, I'm open to it. But on that note, good night. Good night, Ping.
Good night, Amy.
Now we wait and wait.